everyone. Welcome to today's Evolve with 3Share. So we're going to be talking about AI, which isn't a surprise because everyone's talking about AI these days. So we even did it last year. We had two talks on AI, but this time we're going to do a more practical look at how AI can be applied in your content supply chain work and just using Adobe products. But before we get into that, I actually didn't introduce myself, so let me do that, and then the team will introduce themselves. So I'm Rabiah Coon. I'm 3Share's Senior Marketing Manager, and I've been around AEM for about 10 years and worked as a product manager and project manager, actually project manager here at 3Share for about 6 years before I was in this role. So have a lot of experience with AEM and also with working with these two guys on projects. So how about you? Go ahead, Dustin.
Sure. My name is Dustin Colvin. I'm a senior technical architect at 3Share. I've been doing AEM development for right around 13 years, 9 of which has been at 3Share, actually located in Kansas City, Missouri. That's about it. Clemente?
Cool. Sure. Hi, everyone. So I'm not Lucio Poveda, so you may be disappointed.
Yeah.
But I'm Clemente, Director of Technology for 3Share. I have been working at 3Share for about 8 years or so, and with AEM maybe a little bit more than 10 years. I'm from Argentina, but I have lived in Madrid for the last 6 years. I come from a very technical background as a developer and then as a technical architect lately. So, yep, that's it about me.
Awesome. And Clemente, are you just basically, I asked for Lucio via AI and I got you? Is that what happened? Or
That's right. I'm an avatar.
Exactly. So be careful. We'll get into what you have to do when you ask AI for things, but be careful. You might end up with someone or something totally different. So I think basically I said, we already talked about AI last year, and I think the landscape's just ever changing with that. I don't know if anyone heard the news about Google Gemini, but it was one of my favorite things that happened like 2 weeks ago. So I just wanted to mention that just because I personally, I won't say it was funny, but it was a little funny. But it can show just how important it is to develop properly and then also to use it properly. We're not going to actually deal with that today because we're dealing with everything Adobe. So we're just going to take a look at basically what would look like a creative request from someone. And I'm going to play my role of marketing manager for this, and then talk to Clemente about generating things via AI images, and then we'll talk to Dustin about how we can use AI within AEM to do some work with metadata and stuff like that. So we'll say bye to Dustin for a few minutes, and Clemente and I are going to work a little bit on kind of this image that I really need to create for my marketing campaign.
Awesome.
Cool.
Great.
All right. So so Clemente, we're not a creative agency, but I'm like the creative agency within 3Share essentially. And I'm always trying to promote our swag, right? And that 3Share life. And so one thing that I do a lot is post images of 3Share people like wearing the swag out and about, or a lot of times it's just me on vacation and with my 3Share, hat or maybe water bottle and putting it places. But what if I don't go on vacation and I don't go out of my house for a few weeks and no one else does either? Which sadly that could happen to us and I want to create images. I mean, and create a new background for a mug. Like, is that's something I can do basically, right? And
yeah, definitely. And I mean, the generation of images with AI has been with us for already maybe 2 years already. I mean, as a broad scale, but I think what Adobe created with its Adobe Express tool is that they kind of democratize or make it even more easy to create these images. Because if you think initially things like Midjourney, who was very popular back then, you needed to know a lot about prompts, and you needed to know a lot about actually parameters and things that are more technical. But nowadays with Adobe Express already gives you a really nice UI. It's already turn some things that previously was like kind of parameters or kind of code. They converted that into just button for you to tweak. So yeah, definitely, I think that's something that you could easily do with Adobe Express. You have already your Mac picture, I guess, so maybe you can just focus on creating the background and say, okay, create a background image with a tree, for example, something like that. And you can go from there.
Okay, yeah, so let me just share Adobe Express. And why am I using Adobe Express right now? I'll tell you, because I did not learn to use Photoshop very well. And Adobe Express is a great tool that someone like me can use. And it's really, I think, makes it kind of less of a learning curve to create awesome images and videos. I mean, one thing you can see, I'll just show off a few things, but you can see there are all these like just almost templatized like ways to get started, like TikTok videos, Instagram Reels, stuff like that. And so I think one thing we've seen too, just in the last couple of years, is the proliferation of tools like this that are really amazingly easy to use and like a quick learning curve. And then you have Photoshop and things like that, which are more for someone who is more trained, I'd say. So we're going to use Adobe Express, just keeping things in the Adobe ecosystem today. But, there are these kind of features in the other Creative Cloud tools. So I guess the first thing I'm going to do, actually, I can upload my mug and there's like a thing called remove background. That's really cool. And so if I choose remove background, then I can bring up my image. Let me just grab that. And I'm going to upload this image of a 3Share mug that actually Dustin took for me. And there, I just uploaded it. You could see for a second there was that background, and then now it's like this. And so I can open it in the editor. I can download it, whatever. I'm just going to open it in the editor. But there we go. So it's there. There's this 3Share mug that's looking pretty good. Now I'm actually just going to open another window because I want to do something else. But really what I want to do, Clemente, is I want to create like kind of a cool background. A lot of people at 3Share into nature, so maybe we can do something like that. So, but what do you think I would do? I mean, it says text to image, but like, I don't know. I mean, do I enter something simple like?
Yeah, certainly you can start with something simple like just create a background with a tree or.
Okay, and see what I get.
Yeah.
So let's try that. So this is just using text to image. Just going to do that. All right, so it's doing something here. Let's see what we come up with. That's the exciting thing about AI I've found is it's exciting to demo. All right, so that is a tree.
It is a tree, and it is a background image.
It doesn't look like where you'd put a mug, really.
Right.
And there's all these results too. There's different results, and I can choose different kind of effects I'd want and just load more and generate more if I want to do that. But it gave me some options to use that are cool, but again, not really. I don't know. I mean, it's a tree, but it's not
a good match.
Yeah, right. What I want. So.
So yeah, the next step would be try to make it more specific or tailor this to what you are looking for. And there are a lot of ways to do this, and everything in many cases depend on what platform you're using. In this case, we're focusing on Adobe Express. Even though many of the principles that we will announce, they apply to everything, all the different tools that generate AIs and images, sorry. So one of the main point, or the first one would say, is that you need to be super specific and stick to simple and direct language remember to always use your subject, descriptors, keywords, but also be super specific. And also you don't need to worry about adding extra information, or you don't need to be polite with AI. It's really not a person, at least yet, doesn't have feeling yet. So you don't need to worry about, please, Mr. AI, create an image using your artificial mind about a boy playing in the fields, blah, blah, blah. Just go directly with it, like an image, right? Like, okay, a tree in the forest, blah, blah. So you need to be specific, you need to be concise, and also you need to be descriptive. The more descriptive you are, the better you will look to what you really are looking for. Of course, there will be situations where you want the AI to be more like creative and just let it fly, and that's fine. But usually you have a pretty good idea of what you want. Like in this case, you you have your mug, which is like a real picture. So
Mhm.
you need a real background or something that looks like a real picture. So we really match your product, the mug in this case. So you need to be the scripter in that case. You can also use descriptors. So descriptors are like different parameters or different context that you give the AI so they understand better what you're looking for. Some of these descriptors are actually right there. If you look on the left side, you have the prompt, below you have the content type, and then you have styles. Within the styles, you have effects, material, concepts. So all these are descriptors that if you're using, for example, Adobe Photoshop with Firefly, you would have to write them, right? Like just put it as part of your prompt. But in this case, Adobe Express is providing a really easy to use interface that you can just click around and get things like specifying an art movement, like if you wanted like a pop art, impressionism, blah, 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 colors, you can give the set of colors that you want. Maybe you can relate that to your brand. Then, of course, you can think about composition, like if you want a wide angle, if you want a close-up, lighting, materials, like materials, for example, in this case, I think you just click on one of these that show. So you can make it look as an origami, so or a metal or fabric, or just don't pick anyone, and you can select or tell it look like a photograph, which is actually what we are looking for. So that is also in terms of styles. And one other thing that I would say about how to organize your prompt is, besides being descriptive, being concise and everything, you need to structure your prompt. So then it's easier for you to work on it and to improve on it. What I'm trying to say is that having structure in mind, at least, like you say, okay, first I will always say object first, the scene, then I will explain context, and finally I will put all the descriptor like that I want, like color or style that we said. So if you do it that way, if you keep it the same structure, you will always be a lot easier for you to tweak something. Like, I don't know, you created something and you didn't quite like the style, like in this case, right? So you know that you only need to tweak that part of the prompt. You don't need to change the whole prompt. So if you're structured with this, that's even better. So I would say then there are more tricks on how to write things that are more specific to Adobe Express, Adobe Firefly in this case, which like you can use quotation mark, just like you do when Google thinks. You can quote a couple of things that you want to be together always, or if you are adding an adjective and you want to make sure that color is applied, let's say for specific project, you can use those quotation marks to create groups within this. You can tell the AI to not include certain things or not to use certain colors. They're really like, there's an extra level there that you can go in a lot deeper and get really what you need. But let's just stick to the basic, let's say. And maybe based on these kind of principles, I guess a better prompt could be something like a forest under a blue sky with an hyper-realistic photography style. So we are stating object, context, and we are adding some of the descriptor that we talk about, which is the realistic style.
Cool. And so this is all just under what a prompt is. If anyone hears that, it's just, this is a prompt. And so that's good. I mean, should we just do it, or is there anything else you think I should do here?
No, I think that
photo.
Content type photo, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, even though we're already telling them that it's photographic style. Let's try.
I mean, we've all worked with someone who doesn't really listen to us, so we have to figure out another way to say it.
It's always good.
Never the two of us. We always are fine, but other people. Oh, whoa, okay. Yeah,
this is better.
This is more what we want. Look at that.
Nice.
All right. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I think I'm gonna go. Let's see. Yeah, this one still looks a little, but this, I like this.
Yeah, this one looks good.
All right. So I think I can just put my mug in it. Let me just see if I can copy paste this guy, because I'm pretty sure I can, but maybe not. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to put the mug. I'm just going to, let's see. I should be able to take it. Let me try one more time. If not, I thought I could, but yeah, there it is. Oh, this big mug. It knows how much coffee I need, you know? But I mean, obviously someone would be holding a mug, but let's just say I think this is good. This is what I want. Just
Yeah.
for example. And of course someone who's really a merchandiser would do this, but one thing I thought was cool too in this, I just want to show a feature because you can just add text too to the to the image. So say I just want to say like check out our merch or something. 3 Shares swag. Like something like that maybe. I can just do that pretty easily. That didn't go well. Just got to make this bigger, but it's pretty cool what you can do. But I mean, basically, we didn't take long, and we were able to just, use AI to create like this background and stuff. And then I'm just gonna, whatever. This is cool. This is fine for now.
And actually, once you are happy with this, maybe it's the first time you create it, but you think that you will be creating more of these type of things, you can convert this into a template too. I mean, there are many things. We're not going to demo everything, but just to let you know, you don't have to repeat the same step every time. Now you have this done, maybe you can create a template for that, and the next time you can just tweak the background, for example, and maintain the copy or something else.
Yeah. And I'm gonna so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do a little bit more here just because now I'm getting a bit, you know how I am. So I'm like, no, it can't be like that. So this is cool. And so I'm going to actually just download this image. And then we'll be able to check it out in AEM too and see what it can do. But because if we could spend all day like watching me learn more and more about about Adobe Express, but that's not what this is about. And so I think Dustin, maybe thanks Clemente. This is awesome and super helpful just on how to like write a better prompt really and a really simple way to do it. And then I think we're going to bring Dustin back because he can show us then a couple of things that are cool in AEM that can be done as well, right? With images. So this is really just like tip of the iceberg, this session, but so welcome back, Dustin.
Yep.
So I've sent over that image to you, but basically like say we went through, if you think about a content supply chain, like there was some image request, maybe someone requested this mug from me and then, or I just needed it to do it. And I asked Clemente for some help and now it needs to go into the DAM because it's approved but I need to have like a proper name and description and alt text and want to categorize everything and whatever. So what can I do in AEM with my images? And I'm going to stop sharing here.
Yep. In AEM, you can do a lot of different things. And one of the main things that we've done is being able to generate alt text in a long description from just by using the image. And like a little more information about what we're going to talk about in demo here is we're going to use or show the use of Adobe Sensei for creating smart tags based on the image that we're going to upload, and some of the other ones I'm going to show some other images that we did before. And then we're also going to show the integration of OpenAI and a custom workflow to generate the alt text and long description. And a little more information about like Adobe Sensei is Adobe's AI and machine learning system that's embedded inside of AEM that can use various different things. Like for what we're going to show, it will generate smart tags based on the image. It also is used in content fragments to generate summaries and a bunch of other things inside of AEM. OpenAI that we're going to talk about that we're integrating with is an AI platform that you can process images, text, do creative processing, and a lot more, as long as the image is available publicly. It uses Chat GPT 3.5, and it also has now, as of 2 weeks ago, GPT-4. There is a cost associated with using something like OpenAI, but there is an estimator that helps you figure out like what it will cost to like generate text for a certain photo. It'll help you figure that out, so you have a general idea of what it's going to cost. I'm going to share my screen and show a photo of the process that we're going to use.
And so just from a cost perspective, while you're doing that, like that, because I know Clemente and I talked about that on our AI thing last year, our Evolve, but basically I think a company would want to know like how many images they're processing X a month or whatever, and kind of calculate based on that, right? Essentially, like you just want to be aware of what you're doing and be able to estimate using those numbers, really.
Right, exactly. So let me share my screen. Well, you can see that this is the workflow that we're using. Basically, as an author, I'm going to upload an asset to AEM, and we're using Adobe as a cloud service that'll automatically process using Adobe's microservices and update the asset. This is the piece that'll, as part of this workflow, it'll automatically ingest using smart tagging and using Adobe Sensei and automatically tag the asset for various different things. As soon as that's complete, then we'll run a workflow on the asset ourselves that we've done with the integration to OpenAI. And this will generate the alt text and the long description that you'll see, and then update the asset. And now, part of that is that we also want to make sure that you know that some of these information that AI generates is not the greatest. So we'll have to update it as an author, but it gives us a great starting point. So let me go ahead and drag this image in.
And then can you make the window a little bigger just because?
Yep.
Cool.
Hopefully there's no problems. There we go. All right.
Success. That's what we want to see, Hunter.
Yes. Exactly. So what I'm going to do here while this is processing, this is the process that Adobe does with the microservices that's out of the box. It takes a while for an image to process, but I'm going to look at these various images that I've uploaded previously and look at the properties. So for this one, I'm going to go to the basic. This is what AI generated. So it's not accurate, but it gives you a great starting point. Like it says it's a white pickup. This is a gray pickup. But it does give you in a commercial area, and it generates this saying my car is on there, but it's not on there. So some of this is AI's just needs to learn better, and it will eventually. But it also said the truck is capturing a commercial photography shot showcasing its rugged, versatile appeal. So that's great information to use for a marketing person to use that's automatically generated by AI. Now, if I go to this, and you see it's still processing, so it takes a while for these things to process. I generated this, and it's a young woman laughing while waiting for a bus and her varsity appeal, capturing the carefree essence of school. So this is great information that AI is automatically generating just by looking at the photo. And this is an actual AI-driven, completely AI-driven photo as well, just so you know. So these aren't real people. These are AI-generated people as well. Let's close this.
Awesome.
All right, so this photo is processed now. And I'm going to click here, and I'm going to open the properties. And you'll see this information is not filled in yet because I have not ran our AI. But you will see Adobe Smart Tags. Now, this one isn't generating a bunch. It's just saying product photography and SIP. If I look some of the other ones, which I should have done before, and look at the properties and look at the Smart Tags the Sensei is generating, pickup truck, commercial photography, and then I think this one actually generates a lot more. You'll see this one is actually generating a bunch of smart tags about this image. So it all depends on what contains in the image and what Sensei is going to determine is relevant for this image.
Well, and it's learned over time. I mean, I remember, and I think you guys remember when we first were using smart tagging and kind of some interesting things that came up with versus now. And I mean, I think, it just shows how Well, first of all, that AI has been around for a long time, so it's just that more people know how to spell it now, I think, is the thing. But the second thing is that, like, it's just over time you can just improve it and improve what it learns, like you were saying. So I'm curious to see what it's going to come up with. I mean, this is...
Me too. So I'm going to go ahead and check this, and I'm going to say create workflow, and I'm going to select my workflow that we created. This relies me on knowing the alphabet, so here we go.
Good job.
Yep.
I like how we're merging human intelligence and artificial intelligence this entire time. That's good.
Oh, yes.
And Clemente knew I was going to say that because I told him, I said, that's like my favorite thing to say now. So.
All right, so that should have processed already. All right, so here it is. Close-up shot of a stylish, sleek sipper against a minimalist backdrop showcasing a design functionality product photography setting. So there you go. It's actually, except for the word sipper, which we all know it's a coffee mug, but.
I mean, I live in the UK, and I don't think we call it that here either. So I don't know. That's some localized thing somewhere, but yeah. It's not a sippy cup, even though sometimes we act like babies, but yeah. Okay, cool. That's awesome. And yeah, we could always teach it not to say sipper if it's annoying. That's awesome.
It'll learn over time what that actually is.
Yeah. But I feel like one of us has said that to ChatGPT at this point. So that's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. And just, I mean, such a quick way to generate something that's needed, especially when you think of companies that have like thousands of images and, retail and stuff uploading so many images over time. So that's really cool.
And actually, just one note that Dustin just ran the workflow manually, but the same thing can be done automatically. I mean, this is just for demo purposes, but basically the same thing that he just ran, we can just hook it up and everything will be automatically processed upon upload.
Yeah, we could connect it to that same process that Adobe runs, that automatically runs when you generate or when you upload a photo.
Yeah, totally. No, so that's true too. Okay, cool. So then I guess we can go to any questions. I mean, we don't have anything else to demo unless you guys had something to say right now that you thought of.
I don't know if we mentioned this, but just like we saw the zipper thing and maybe the other thing, the track that has that weird smart tag, let's say my car or something like that. That's something that happens because we haven't trained anything, but you can train your model with your specific photos. So maybe if you have a specific product that you sell guitars or whatever, then you can train Adobe Sensei to smart tag your images where your product appear. And the same way you can even train the other workflow that Dustin showed us. So it recognizes, okay, here is your product, so I will name it by its name.
Yeah. No, that's cool too. Yeah, and it's the whole training thing. I think that's really awesome, and there's a lot of potential when you're managing it. So, I mean, we just saw like a very specific use case, but I think it just showed kind of a breadth of what's, the start of what's possible, which is great. And so in AEM, I mean, I'm curious about where else you guys can see or think of AI being used. So do you have any other ideas or that you've even maybe worked on already?
Yeah, in general, I've worked on a couple of things. I haven't implemented them inside AEM, but thought about it, like a card container for an image that I just want to help generate the text that goes along with the card container, that basically description, just like we showed for the description on the asset, but a description like a product description, a sales description, or something like that, and use that automatically to generate those things on a page, and then the author can come in and update where it needs to. So we can basically run it on a whole page to generate stuff based on what we've thrown on the page, and run a workflow on a whole page to generate a bunch of text. I know I've done it like for playing around, but generating a sales description of a product I found online. And it did an amazing job of generating what would be a description that you would throw on a website without actually knowing about it. So it was pretty good.
That's cool. Yeah. What about you, Clemente?
Yeah, and I think also well, many cases that you can apply AI for sure, but within the AEM, where I would say that, for example, what Dustin just showed us about the image and the description being created, that's something that could be quickly used as an alt text, so to improve your accessibility. We know that one key rule for accessibility is that the images should always have an alt text. And that's something that we really usually struggle with authors to remember that they should add that. So you can take a quick and big jump there if you just add something like that and make all your images already have an alt text. Then, of course, you will have to check, see if there's nothing wrong with it or anything, but at least from the get-go, you already have a really good accessibility in terms of images, or in terms of other things too, like SEOs, the same thing. You can create meta tags or keywords from the content, just like what Dustin said. You can scan or ask the AI actually to scan your page and create keywords for that. So then you have that for Google, let's say, right? So you can boost your SEO results in there. Same for social media. I mean, things like AI generated programs like ChatGPT, they know what Twitter is, so they know how people write in Twitter, so they would know that if you create a tweet for this specific page, it will create it immediately. You can ask to create or maybe create a Facebook post. So like each social media has its own way, its own accent or tone. So you can even ask that to do that with your pages.
Yeah, cool. And I've done some of it, and I'm constantly saying that I'm a better writer than these things, but when I don't feel like being one. Okay, and then if anyone has questions, I put that in the chat. Go ahead and ask. I just have a couple more that we were thinking about that might be interesting. But like Clemente, you did talk about writing prompts, and we were talking specifically about for like images at this point. But we've just been talking now about other uses of AI would be for text, and so I think Dustin or Clemente, do you have any like other ideas or tips to share about writing prompts? Because I think that's like so critical.
Yeah, OpenAI comes with basic rules for writing prompts to help anybody trying to use the system. I'll just go through the 6 of them that are just pretty basic. Understand your objective, like clearly define like what you want to achieve with your prompt. Is it information, creativity, or problem solving? Keep it clear and concise. You don't want to be overly complex, but you also don't want to be completely vague because you're not going to get what you're looking for. So clarity on the AI response is better on an AI response. Context matters. So if you don't provide enough context, you're not going to get what you're asking for either. So provide enough background for the AI to understand the scenario, but avoid unnecessary information. The next one I think is key. Experiment and iterate. So go ahead and try to do your prompt like we were doing earlier. And if that didn't get you what you want, try changing your prompt based on the response you got. So we didn't want a single tree. We wanted a forest with a blue background. So we're being more specific and generating or iterating through to find exactly what we want. The next one is consider your audience. Tailor your prompt based on who will interact with what you're wanting to use. So we wanted to generate a forest in the background so we could throw a coffee mug on it. But we were generating that for you as an audience. Now, if we wanted something completely different, you want to make sure you're generating towards what you're trying to push. The next, evaluate and adapt, like continuously try different prompts. Like you'll see what's effective, what's not effective, and customize it there. I mean, it sounds easy enough, but I mean, really, honestly, the key is practice. Like I've done a lot of AI prompts in the last 2 weeks, and you learn what works, what doesn't, and how specifically you need to be on certain things.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, and specificity is so important. And I think one thing too that was interesting, just we talked about and Clemente talked a little bit about the sipper or whatever this kind of cup is called, which just cracks me up. But like, can you, I don't know, Clemente, do you have anything else you want to say about like the whole process of it learning and, just AI learning and how it can improve over time?
Yeah, sure. There's technically there's this concept of fine tuning, which basically what it does, it's take a pre-trained model, just like ChatGPT. GPT is a pre-trained model, meaning that it's a language model that has been already trained to understand natural language, for example, right? Many things. So it's kind of it has a general idea of how to respond to the task that you ask, right? And it has a general idea of how people talk. But if you want to go deeper, you want to go farther on that, you can fine tune these models. So then you have a model that responds based on like tailored to your brand. For example, it could be based on your tone. So maybe your brand has a specific tone to talk to the customers. So you can fine tune these models so they always respond in a certain way, or maybe even like what we said, like they know your products, so they know how to refer to them, they know how to recognize those products. And there are many things that you can do with the fine tuning, but basically it's about training the model, not again, but doing an extra train, something like that. So you fed the model with more data, and then that model learn how to do certain specific tasks or how to respond to certain specific prompts. That's something that you can do, which, to be honest, that's a kind of a advanced use case, right? We are talking about fine tuning. We're talking about kind of a deep level, or deeper at least for what we are seeing now. But there's an alternative if you don't have access to data, or if you don't have the budget, because that's something that requires effort and time and resources. The other alternative to that is just when you are writing ChatGPT prompt, for example, you can add a lot of context. So I think it's around 5,000 characters, 5,000 tokens actually. What ChatGPT can super double quote learn, right? It's not learning, but if you don't have time and resources to fine tune, you can do that. You can just expand your context. So I don't know, if you want to write a review about your product, the more description and more information you add about that product, about context, about even your company and everything, the better it will be. So it will be more tailored to what you are looking for. And I think everyone can see this in ChatGPT. Like when you start talking about something, then you continue talking about it, and ChatGPT will know what you're talking about, or what have you been saying to ChatGPT before.
It's super cringe. But there's those of us who Google ourselves every once in a while. I'm one of those. But it's even more cringy if you search yourself, ask ChatGPT about you, and then it starts to learn more about you, and then it ends up totally inflating everything about you. And I've done that. And apparently I've appeared on the Tonight Show before, so you guys are lucky to have me today. But yeah, well, there's a chat. Let me see if there's a question. Okay. David Hoker has a question. So has anyone used generative fill as a workflow in AEM to change the size or aspect ratio of DAM images?
I have not used it, but what I have been seeing lately, and something that we did for a client recently, was a POC about using Photoshop actions. Photoshop action is huge. So one of those things is you can expand your images, and like David's saying, you can adjust the aspect ratio. By doing that, if you have a narrow image and you want to make it bigger, you will need something on the sides, right? So you don't want a blank background. So then you can add more things, more parameters, so you can fill. Just like David's saying, I think that's something that you can do with Photoshop Action, or even post-processing in the AEM asset. Just like Dustin showed us earlier today, you drop the image, and if you configure your post-processing profile to do the actions that you want, then you get it.
Yeah. And if that's something, I don't know, that he wanted to see, or someone wants to ask us something, we can probably play around with it too. And,
Yeah, I think you could also just like as part of the rendition generation, you could actually create a rendition for different sizes that'll actually fill in the background with whatever you need via AI.
Yeah, so great question and great feature. And I know we've been thinking about all kinds of things we can do and that clients may need, or just, any action. I mean, we've talked about workflows for years, is like anything you're repeating over and over and you can create a workflow for would be great, because you're just saving time and people can focus on other things they need to. And so AI just expands that even more. Yeah. Thanks for the question, David, and for being here. So I think that's it. I mean, just for me, I know this has been super informative, and I think I'm one of those people who complains about AI a little bit, but then I also like do things like this because I know it's important to stay informed and stuff. But I think it's just so much about what you're putting in is what you'll get out of it. And it's almost like a plant or anything, or I guess kids, if you're not, I don't have them, but I think I understand they're the same way. But, the more you're putting into it and more information you're giving it and stuff, it's going to be a more reliable tool for you. So yeah, what about you guys? Any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, I think it's split 50-50 on like people who want to use AI. I think it's overblown, or people that are actually starting to use it. But I do think it's going to get more and more integrated on our daily lives, and it's going to get more integrated into AEM, and the uses that people are going to start using it for are going to get a lot greater. I do think that it's beneficial if you just start getting familiar with prompts and how to create prompts, because down the road it's going to be, I think, used a lot more in different scenarios.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. And I nowadays I don't see the point of not wanting to use AI. I think that it's there, and it's kind of you must use AI nowadays, because otherwise you will be behind everyone. Not because maybe, at least the way I use it to run ideas or to help me and speed up certain processes. You have a bullet point for some ideas, and that creates a bigger paragraph with AI. You can do that, so it's a lot faster. I do see people using it even more. Then, of course, the other thought I had is about many people talking about the jobs, like, are we losing our jobs? Will people lose their jobs? I mean, I don't know for sure. I have no idea what will come. But I read an interesting quote the other day. Jensen Huang, the NVIDIA CEO, he was saying that kids should not learn to code anymore because AI will do that for them in the future, which I really doubt about it. And well, it's tricky. There are really good AI to generate code, but in the end, I don't think we'll never be able to. No, I wouldn't say never, but we won't be able to just rely completely on AI to generate the whole thing.
Yeah.
So there are many people saying many things. I don't know.
Yeah. One thing for sure is we know that just, in working with AEM and stuff, that it's, we can say for certain, like, there are some really cool things you can do, and making it part of what you do. So you can definitely reach out to 3Share if you want, and we can talk to you about how to implement it or integrate it into your content supply chain or your workflows, whatever term you want to use, and just kind of definitely people should really consider starting to look more at it. So thank you so much, you guys. Clemente, thanks for stepping in as AI Lucio, and Lucio will be on another one. I've already got him scheduled for one that I'll let him know about. And so Clemente, thanks for being here, and Dustin, thanks for all the work to put this together too. Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks everyone for joining too.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you.